So good evening, everybody, and welcome to our 7th webinar for Seaquest Southwest. So for those of you that don't know anything about Seaquest Southwest, we are a citizen science project which is run by the Cornwall Wildlife Trust, and we have a huge team of trained volunteers. A lot of you are here tonight, who conduct surveys for us from cliffs around Cornwall, and that's on seeing any whales, dolphins, porpoises, any large fish or jellyfish, things like that. Anything you can see from a cliff, we have volunteers doing surveys for us, amazing team of volunteers. Normally we have a big sort of packed program of events going on throughout the year, but unfortunately we can't do a lot of those events at the moment. So instead of that, we are doing webinars every week. So a lot of you have seen all our other webinars, which if you haven't, they are available on our YouTube channel. So it's the Cornwall Wildlife Trust Marine Team YouTube channel. And our next webinar coming up next week, we have Jenny Simpson from Padstow Sea Life Safaris, and she will be telling us all about the amazing stuff that she gets to see in Padstow. So if you're interested in some of the wildlife we see off the Cornish coast, tickets are available for that. So if you have a look at our Facebook or subscribe to our newsletters, then you can get tickets for that, and the tickets are free. So that's all enough about Seaquest. So now I'll tell you a little bit about the lovely talker that we have tonight. So tonight we have Ashleigh Kitchner, and she is the Wildlife Officer for the Hebrides from the conservation charity Orca. So Orca is dedicated to studying and protecting cetaceans in the UK and European waters. Ashleigh would normally be in the Hebrides in Scotland at the moment, doing amazing research on the Kelmac ferries, and hopefully she will be back there soon, fingers crossed. But for now, she's in North Wales and spending the next hour telling us about Orca. So we'll hear all about the charity, about different cetaceans, about their Isles of Scilly surveys, and a little bit about her role in Scotland as well. So thank you very much for speaking to us, Ashleigh, and take it away.
My pleasure. So hi everyone, thank you very much for joining the webinar. I believe it's been very successful, so very happy to be invited along. Also thank you very much to Cheryl and Claire that have set this up, and the Cornwall Wildlife Trust and the Seaquest project. It's absolutely great to be here just to talk about me and the wonderful work that Orca do, and obviously my favourite subject, which is whales, dolphins and porpoises. So what I'm going to run through today is just a little bit about me, so what my journey has been with Orca, and then I'll run through Orca and the work that they do, and I'll also discuss just very briefly the Scilly surveys that we do, and then I'll run through the cetacean species that we can find in the UK. So my journey with Orca began in 2017. So I think I was in my final year of university, and I was wondering what my next steps would be. What am I going to do next? I wanted to upskill, and it was certainly marine biology focused, and I had a love for whales, dolphins and porpoises anyway. And Orca offer a placement, so that it's sort of an internship that you do with them. It's a month-long placement. They did do it on the Bay of Biscay and the North Sea, and I was on the Bay of Biscay. So after seeing this online, I rushed my application, I submitted it straight away, and fortunately I was accepted. So I was able to sail across the Bay of Biscay for that month. It was August, around the end of August and September, and I had the best time. I can't tell you how much I learned in that month. It was just so interactive and so engaging. We had to speak to the public, so I had to make sure I knew exactly what I was talking about, and also obviously all the amazing wildlife sightings that I saw. And it's not also about the wildlife sightings as well. So I met, I'd say, some really nice people. Some of my closest friends I'd consider now. So Orca it's not all about the wildlife sighting, it's about the people that you meet as well. And during that month, my favourite sighting, I remember, I think it was towards the end of my internship, and everything was just great and everything was flowing. I felt really good about everything that I'd learned. and we were coming into the south of Bay of Biscay, and at the bottom there are deep canyons and trenches around there, which are perfect habitat for a type of cetacean called the beaked whales, and the species specifically is the northern bottlenose whale. So this is a deep diving, very elusive species, so not many people get to see these, and we saw just a huge splash all of a sudden, and then we looked over, just kept our eye there, and sure enough, these two huge animals breached out the water, full body out of water. And what they do is they sort of joust with each other or battle one another. So they have two teeth at the front of their mouth, and they land on one another and sort of rake each other's back. It's a competition that they have. It's kind of showing who's the fittest. But yeah, that was one amazing sighting that I won't forget. And yeah, we did, surely enough, when we were coming out of the Bay of Biscay as well, we did see them again. I think they were having a well-deserved rest, though. We just saw the roll of a back, no more battling, and I think they'd had enough. So yeah, so that was my placement, so that was absolutely amazing. And then I became an Orca ambassador. So this is with their cruise conservationist project. So this is where they have people like myself on cruises, teaching people about whales and dolphins. We have a really engaging program to inspire and educate. And we also do conduct scientific surveys, but the mass majority of that is to engage and inspire with the public. So I've been to Canada twice on cruises, and I sailed on a tall ship with them in the Azores. So very diverse experiences, but some great wildlife encounters, and lovely. I just find it lovely chatting to people, and especially when you see someone that's seen their first dolphin, it's just the best. And common dolphins are always the best one for that. And then moving down to the Ocean Watch project. So this is a project that Orca have been running for a few years. So there's a few different aspects to this. So one is where they teach bridge crews. So for instance, they've taught CalMac, their bridge crews, to survey for them. They also are trying to give offshore personnel a role in safeguarding the future of the marine environment. So we run training courses for companies that are in the offshore sector, and get them, we sort of teach them about cetacean identification, and also survey methodology, so they can just conduct 30-minute surveys, for, you know, an hour if they can, whatever they can do. It's really beneficial to the study of these animals, because when we're on cruises and when we're on ferries, it's mainly in the summer season, whereas these guys can sort of survey all year round, so it gives us a bigger picture of exactly what's going on. And then now, so here we are, so you can see the CalMac there, so that's Caledonia McBrain. They're a ferry company up in the Hebrides, so I was fortunate enough to secure the position as the Hebrides Wildlife Officer. So this means that I conduct surveys throughout the summer season all across the Hebrides, or it would mean I would conduct surveys all across the Hebrides, and also as well, that project as well is to inspire and educate. So I'll be hosting talks, activities, things like that for people that are on board CalMac ferries. And this is part of their marine awareness program. So this is a really cool program that they have. There are a lot of companies involved. So they have the marine mammal survey. So that's where Orca are involved. Also the community engagement, so that's the wildlife officer role. They also have Ocean Watch going on as well, so their crew survey for us. And they also do bird surveys as well as a part of this marine awareness program. So they're trying to encompass a lot of wildlife that's in the Hebrides, and use what they can for conservation implementation. So it's a great project. So enough about me. So the Orca work. So Orca are involved in many different areas. So they are a marine conservation charity, but what does this mean? It means that they collect data, vital data about the marine environment, and present it to governing bodies in aid to protect and conserve species and habitats, and help inform policy and legislation. So they give the data to help inform policy. So people that are making these decisions are better informed to make these marine protected areas or designate different areas. So the marine environment is vast, I understand that. So what we focus our attention on are cetaceans. So these are our whales, dolphins and porpoises. And why whales and dolphins, you ask, and porpoises? I think they answer for themselves. They are absolutely lovely creatures to watch. I'm sure many of you have surveyed on shore, and you can just see how amazing and awe-inspiring they are. They are also apex predators, so they give a really good indication of what's happening in the ecosystem. So being top of the food chain, they help us look at what exactly is going on in that food chain. So they are really good animals to look at to see exactly what is happening in the marine environment. So to collect this data, we have 3 different types of surveyors. We have marine mammal surveyors. So these are our dedicated volunteers that go out year round. And they take their own time and they go on these ferry routes that you can see on the left, and you can see that they all encompass the UK. So we've got them going to Shetland there, the Hebrides, which I would be on, but haven't been on any as of yet. And we go all the way across the English Channel and all the way to the Bay of Biscay as well. And we also have our wildlife officers, so that's my role. So I'm in the Hebrides, but there are Bay of Biscay wildlife officers and North Sea wildlife officers. And we also have cruise conservationists now. So these are people, professionals, like I say, that are on board the cruises, and they've been to, I think, the map I looked at, they've been to the Southern Ocean, they've pretty much completed the North Atlantic Ocean, the Southern Ocean, and also the Pacific now. So it's a really, really far-reaching programme that we can get this data, and we share this data with other organisations in those areas as well. So loads of data being collected on these animals for the benefit of their conservation. And we also do education. So that's my colleague Anna there. She's part of, she's head of education, and she goes out to schools and she teaches children about whales, dolphins and porpoises. And she tells them all about these inspiring animals and all the different facts and things that kids like to know. And we also have Whale Education Month. This is a month in October. So we post out free packs to schools. For this, I think we had a request from a school in South America once. So this is quite far-reaching as well. So loads of those packs get sent out, and hopefully we can inspire the next generation of marine biologists. And then on the right here, we have the poster. So this is a research poster. So as well as all the surveys, the education, we do actually have, we do involve ourselves in science and research. So this is James Robbins. He was an employee for Orca. He was our science officer, and he's since gone on to do his PhD. So his PhD is involved in fin whales. So he collects data, or uses our data and collects data as well, for fin whales in the Bay of Biscay. So what he collects data on is their behaviour towards a ship, to see if we can then predict, or better predict, a whale's behaviour if a ship is nearby. So this will stop ship strike, which is becoming a big issue. Certainly as more and more ship vessels are out in the sea, they're getting faster, they're getting bigger. So if we can predict what a whale is going to do, hopefully we can avoid this situation. So as you can see, Orca do a lot of work. So I hope that just summarises exactly what we do. So the Isles of Scilly travel. So this is where the marine mammal surveyors come into the project. So they survey from Penzance to St Mary's, and they conduct the scientific survey. So they're on the bridge, and these surveys, I believe, they have been going on for 11 years. And this is on the Solonian 3, and this is with the Isles of Scilly steamship group. So Isles of Scilly travel. And again, this is from Penzance to St Mary's, and they run for March to November, I believe, and it's once or twice a month. So a lot of data is getting collected during those summer months. And then this data is used to analyse and identify important trends in the range and distribution of cetaceans around the southwest. And this research is published annually in the Orca State of European Cetaceans report. So this is what's on the right here, sorry. And these documents are shared freely with government. They're available on our websites to download. They're shared with scientists, conservation organisations, and these are to help place robust protection for cetaceans around the UK and Europe. And they also highlight threats that we might want to sort of highlight and put out into the public so that people are more aware. And then there's just this orange text at the bottom here. That's the last surveys that we conducted in 2019. So you can see they're fairly frequent there, looking at twice a month, running to October, September. And the route of Penzance and the Isles, or Penzance to St Mary's, and the waters surrounding West Cornwall are incredibly rich in whale, dolphin and porpoises. So that's the name for our cetaceans. And in the last few surveys from 2019, many marine mammals have been seen, but they've also had different animals as well. So they've had tuna, and sometimes tuna can be the same size as a dolphin, so pretty hard to miss. Also had jellyfish, lots of jellyfish species. That go like this, so really funny looking species. And also a leatherback turtle, so that's the largest of the 7 species of marine turtle. They get to about 2.7 meters long, so absolutely massive, and they weigh up to 700 kilograms. I mean, I might give my weight away, but that's like 10 times what I weigh. That's insane. And also basking sharks as well. I wouldn't be the Hebrides Wildlife Officer if I don't talk about basking sharks. So basking sharks have been seen all along the west and then up to the Hebrides. So these are amazing, amazing animals. The second largest shark and one of only 3 sharks that are filter feeders. So you get whale sharks, they're the largest, basking sharks, and then the megamouth shark, they're all filter feeders. And with basking sharks, I actually, this is a funny fact, so apparently their nose has most of their sensory cells, all their nerves. They can detect differences in temperature and things like that that will obviously start a plankton bloom, but their nose is actually bigger than their brain. So they don't need a big brain to find foods, they just follow their smell, which would be so much easier. But yeah, really interesting facts, and amazing, amazing animals, and very widespread, certainly in the Hebrides now. But unfortunately I haven't seen any, but I do know quite a few people have had a few sightings, so that's really good. Okay, so I'm going to move on to cetaceans now. So most of you probably know these, have seen these, have photos of these, which is great. So cetaceans, as I say, is the name for whales, dolphins and porpoises. And around the UK, we get around a third of all species of cetaceans. So there's around about 90, and we get around 30, 33. And not all of them live here. Some of them are migrants. Some of them are just random species that have lost their way. But a lot of them are residents here, and we do get to see them frequently. So the first one of these is, and I'll just mention that whales, dolphins and porpoise did split from land animals about 45 million years ago. So they've been in the ocean for quite a while. So firstly, we'll go on to the harbour porpoise, or Phasina phasina. And this is the smallest cetacean found in the UK. It's very elusive, very shy. If you do see one of these, don't think, oh, it's a harbour porpoise. It's really, really good that you see one of these, because they're so shy and so elusive. It's so easy to miss them. So you've got good eyes. They are right, they're on point. You're doing well. And also it means that it's a great day, because you only see these. So we judge sea state by the Beaufort scale. So that could be, it's numbered, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and it goes up as sort of white water goes up. So 1 is really flat calm, 2 is just like ripples, and then 3 is starting to get a little bit of white water. So normally with harbour porpoise, you're talking it has to get to, well, lower than a 3 at least, possibly even a 2. So you're having a really good day and your eyes are on point if you're seeing a harbour porpoise. So really, really good view in there. They also are highly metabolically active. Remember, the UK, it's a cold water environment, and these animals are quite small. They're 1.5 meters. They need a thick layer of blubber, and they also need to keep that core body temperature, same as ourselves. What is it, 36, 37.5 degrees. So they need to eat a lot. So they're constantly trying to eat, trying to find food, echolocating. So yeah, so that shy roll, they're probably on their way to try and get a nice tasty fish. And the reason that porpoise are porpoise and they're not dolphins, number one is their size. Porpoise are normally a lot smaller. And porpoise also have teeth like a zip. So if you can imagine, if you pull a zip up, you get all the squares like that. That's what a porpoise teeth is like. Whereas with a dolphin, they're very conical. So they sort of fit in like you imagine canines would. So that's the main difference between porpoise and other species. So fascinating species. And then we have common dolphin. So common dolphin are the whale watcher's best friend. They are so acrobatic. They come into the ship. They love to bow ride. They're really, really easy to spot. And they're so easy to identify. You can see this beautiful hourglass pattern. And if you look at it from above, you can see this V-shaped cape. It looks like it's wearing a cape. But for me, I always just focus on that beige patch. So that hourglass pattern. But also sometimes some of these are leucocystic. So that means that their pigmentation is slightly different. So where this beige patch is, sometimes this can be a little bit darker. But they're often in the same pod. So if you ever see a darker one and you think, oh, maybe that's a bottlenose, if you look maybe a bit closer, it may just be a leucocystic common dolphin, which is a really, really cool thing to see. And these animals, their distribution has been changing. So they have been coming further and further up north as temperatures are increasing. And there was individuals that has been residing in the Firth of Clyde in Scotland, and its name is Kylie. And there's a picture at the bottom here of Kylie and a harbour porpoise. You can't really see the dolphin that well, but you can definitely see the porpoise jumping out of the water, and then next to it is a common dolphin. So this is a solitary dolphin, a common dolphin, and they are social animals. They live in the pods. Sometimes these pods can be quite large. So they think that this dolphin just got lost from the pod and couldn't work his way back. So he's been nicknamed Kylie, and they put a hydrophone in the water. So this is just an aquatic microphone, just to listen to sort of what communication was going on, if any. Was he vocalizing even though that he wasn't near his sort of own species? And what they found was absolutely fascinating. So with porpoises, they communicate at a higher frequency as to avoid predators. So animals like orca, things like that, can't hear at this high frequency. Whereas dolphins, they're not as worried about orca, although orca do predate on them. It's not as much as an effect with porpoise. So they found that this common dolphin, Kylie, was actually echolocating, or actually communicating nearer the frequency of the porpoise when the porpoise was around. But when the porpoise weren't there, he went back to dolphin language. So it's really, really indicative of the intelligence. This animal was obviously listening to the porpoise, interpreting what it was hearing, and then trying to communicate with these animals. And obviously you can see how close they are on this picture. Maybe the conversation didn't go so well, or maybe it went too well, I don't know. But yeah, just a really, really interesting thing about these animals. They're social and they're highly intelligent. So just goes to show how social and how intelligent they are. So lovely example of a common dolphin there. And then we've got the white-beaked dolphin. So these are all around the UK, certainly in the Hebrides as well. They are more of a subpolar species, so they do seasonally migrate. However, there is a very, very random isolated population in Devon, in Lyme Bay, which I'm sure all of you know about. But yeah, really, really interesting. And another thing about the white-beaked dolphin, sometimes they don't actually have a white beak. So you may be seeing a white-beaked dolphin that doesn't have a white beak. So really lovely animals, very stocky. They do breach out of the water. They're still quite acrobatic, but they've got that huge dorsal fin as well, but quite unmistakable because they don't have that full beak that you would, associate with a bottlenose dolphin, but that perfect sort of patterning, that flash that comes up them. Really, really lovely animals, and it's certainly quite easy to identify once you see them. And then bottlenose dolphins. So everybody knows the bottlenose dolphin and the archetype dolphin that everybody knows about. So Tursiops truncatus. So this is the most northerly population of bottlenose dolphins in the world that we have in the UK. So we have them in Cardigan Bay, we have them in the Moray Firth. And these species are huge. You can see in that picture at the bottom, see, it looks like it's been the gym, like it is so massive. And this is a protection, so they need all this blubber because it is so cold, so they need to maintain that core body temperature, and so they just get absolutely massive. And again, they have those conical teeth as well, so they predate on lots of different types of fish. But yeah, lovely archetypal grey patterning on there, and I don't think you realise how big they are until you're out at sea. I think if you see one, it takes your breath away when you realise how big it is. You might see a porpoise roll and things like that, but then when you see that dorsal fin coming towards you, or you just, they are absolutely massive. But a lovely species. And then I am the Hebrides Wildlife Officer. What would I be if I didn't talk to you about Orca? So these are Orca, or killer whales. So killer whales was a term. They used to be called whale killer by Basque whalers because they used to see them feeding on whales, and then just over time it's got mixed up a little bit. I mean, they do still predate on whales, but we now like to call them Orca because they're not actually a whale. They are the largest dolphin species. So this is due to different morphological elements of them. So their dorsal fin is central. They have one blowhole and a melon, so this means that they are definitely a dolphin. And also genetics have determined that these guys they sit in the dolphin family, not in the whale family. So in the UK, we have one resident population of Orca. So these are called the West Coast Community, and there are only 8 individuals left. These individuals are seen all over the UK, mainly on the West Coast and travelling to Ireland. They predate on seals, so they are quite large. And they do, so this picture at the bottom here, so this is John Coe, so he's a celebrity in Scotland, and so he's got that notch on his dorsal fin. They think that maybe that was a shark, but nobody can say for certain. So this is John Coe. There are pictures of him everywhere. If you follow anybody in Scotland, they'll know who John Coe is. Unfortunately there are only 8 individuals left, as they haven't produced offspring that has survived in about 20 years, and they think this is due to pollution or PCBs that are in the water that actually affect their endocrine system. So hopefully those 8 individuals are living healthy and well lives as they can, but it would be great to see another West Coast community baby, but we'll see, or calf, we'll see. And we do also have migrants of orcas. So we have migrants from Norway. So we have the fish-eating orca that come from Norway, and then we also have them from Iceland. And these guys don't really communicate. So fish-eating orca echolocate and communicate at different. They sort of have different language, so different buzzes, different clicks. Then seal-eating orca are generally more quiet because obviously their prey are a little bit more intelligent, so they sort of need to keep a low profile, whereas with fish-eating ones, they're chatter, they don't need to keep such a low profile. So that's orca. And then also these aren't cetaceans, but they do fit under the marine mammal umbrella. So these are what are part of the pinnipeds. So this is the collective name for seals. So that's true-eared seals and non-eared seals. And these are the ones that we see in the UK. So we get grey seals. These are pretty large and they look like a dog. So they've got that really long nose. Some of them are grey, some of them aren't. They're quite mottled, but you can definitely tell by that nose. It's really long. So if it looks like a dog, you know it's a grey seal. And these guys breed in winter, so around about November to February, and they produce these lovely white, fluffy, coated pups. And then common seals we have on the right here. So these guys they breed in the summer season. So this is when you're more likely to see the West Coast community, is during these common seal breeding times. And seals actually split from their evolutionary lineage about 35 million years ago. So whales, dolphins and porpoises are actually a little bit older, or their descendants are a little bit older than the seal family. So that's my talk. I hope I was within time. If any of you have any questions or anything like that, or any feedback, any suggestions, please do let me know. I do know that there are probably some hardcore surveyors here, so please be kind. And also I just want to mention Anna, our head of education, she's produced a wonderful plethora of Orca lessons, so interactive lessons online, and lots of activities to go with them as well. So if you are struggling at home or you need something to do, please do check them out. So please do follow us, Facebook, Twitter, if you've got any of these. And also, if you are looking to be a surveyor, I know you do already with Seaquest. If you are looking to do any extra surveying, please do get in touch with Orca, as we do have the marine mammal surveyor courses as well. So yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Ashleigh. That was so interesting.
Thank you.
It was great to hear about all the work that Orca does. So like I said earlier, if anyone does have any questions, if you just pop them into the chat, and then I will ask Ashleigh. Or if anyone just wants to hear any more information about how to get involved with Orca, because it is amazing. You get to do some fantastic cruises.
Yeah, and you get to meet really nice people as well, people that are so like-minded. You just end up geeking out about whales and dolphins the entire time.
I have a question for you, Ashleigh.
Yes.
I know you said your favourite or your best encounter was the bottlenose whale. But what was your most surprising encounter whilst you've done anything you've done with Orca?
Yes, so I think it was during my placement as well. So we were on the ferry, and we were coming out of Santander, I think, and I looked down, and there was this huge, what looked like a dolphin fin, but it was massive. I was like, and it was so close to the vessel. I was like, oh, what's that? What's that? And then we just all of a sudden saw this huge sei whale. I mean, it's not great for the sei whale, but we saw this huge sei whale just roll and look at us, and I think maybe it was sleeping, and unfortunately it didn't hear the vessel, and we got really close to it, and it did wake up. Fortunately, you know, the vessel, it didn't cause any damage. It was, I'd probably say 50 to 70 meters away. But yeah, that was the most surprising. It was just like, there's a dolphin fin. Oh my God, there's a whale looking at me. What? But that was just absolutely amazing. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That sounds great. So I've got one question from Romata. I hope that I pronounced that right. How do you get involved with Orca? I live in London, but would love to visit or get involved here.
Okay, perfect. So if you give us an email and let us know that you're interested, we do run marine mammal surveyor courses all across the UK. So they go from Glasgow all the way down to sort of Cornwall, Devon way. I can't remember. I mean, obviously we are in lockdown at the moment, and I don't know what the schedule will be like this year, but certainly do get in touch, and or join our mailing list, and we can keep you in touch about what's going on. As I say, the marine mammal surveyor course are run from all over the UK, and then the ferries go from everywhere. So as long as you can get yourself to a local ferry port, then you can hop on the ferry and do a survey for us. No, you don't need to have a scientific background. You don't need to have a degree. We just need to know that you're healthy and well, and you've got a passion for cetaceans. And yeah, that's it. Just come along to the course, and we'll provide the rest, really.
That's great, thank you. I also have a question from Mac. Oh no, it's from Vicky. Said, hi, are there any surveys specific, I can't say that word, specific to humpback whales in the UK?
So we don't do species-specific surveys, certainly not at Orca. I think the vast majority of organisations like to collect data on all species. There are organisations, I'd say, that are not in the UK that do focus heavily on humpback whales and focus their research on humpback whales. If that is a species you are interested in, maybe look at other organisations. However, if you do come on board with us, you may get to see lots of other species and also humpback whales. But humpback whales, they're not very, I mean, you may get a sighting in the UK, but they're not very frequent in the UK. Well, actually, that's wrong. They are in Shetland. If you do a survey up in Shetland, you probably will see a humpback whale, certainly during the summertime. So maybe if you do get involved with Orca, put your name down for a Shetland survey and you might just come across a humpback whale, I'd say.
I've got a question from Louis, age 9. Do you have any information on Risso's dolphins? Because I've seen one in Falmouth Bay. Oh, you're very lucky, Louis.
Yeah, Risso's dolphins are so cool. So they have got this really blunt face, very rounded melon, and this huge dorsal fin. So really, really interesting species. So they're a really large dolphin species, and they're seen all over the UK, and they get this scaration all over. I don't know if you saw, Louis, but they have they're sort of white with lots of scars on them, and they think that they get these scars from their prey, so squid. So certainly around their mouth, the squid beaks will just cut at their face, trying to get away. But they also they sort of rake their teeth along one another. They don't think this is aggressive. They think it's just sort of communicating with one another, letting them know that they're there. And this is why they get all these scars. So yeah, really, really interesting species. You get a population in Cardigan Bay and certainly in the Hebrides as well. And they think that these are local, or these are very, very important nursery grounds or hotspots for them to have calves. But yeah, really interesting species. So cool that you saw them in Falmouth. I haven't seen any.
I will tell you, Louis, that they have actually been seen on the lizard recently. A few days ago, they've seen off the lizard, and apparently near Mousehole recently. So if you do go to the beach in the next few days, definitely keep your eyes out. They might be more around. We've also got a comment from Mike Greenway, who said, "Thank you so much for the talk. It was great to hear about your experiences and your information."
Oh, thank you very much.
Very nice. And a question from Elizabeth Nevin, quite similar to the last one. I'm a recent Masters in Marine Biology graduate with previous experience surveying for Orca. What kind of jobs are available at the moment given the current situation with COVID-19?
Yeah, so with the current situation, I'd probably say that at the moment sort of a lot of businesses are shutting down or keeping a low profile. Certainly charitable organisations, they just don't have the funds to keep running, so they're not really recruiting as of yet. All I'd say is try and get involved with as many online courses as you can. There's so much available for free at the moment. I mean, you've already done some Orca surveys, so you pretty much know your cetacean species, I'm sure. But yeah, get clued up on a few more species, maybe check out your seabirds as well, get clued up on your ID for seabirds. Get out on your walks, try and identify a few birds and plants while you're out. Mainly, I think it's about keeping a low profile while we're in the lockdown and trying to stay safe. Maybe register interest with a few organisations that you know of, but I think everybody's just trying to get their way through this lockdown, and just try and do your best and read as much as you can, get knowledgeable as much as you can, and then hopefully when this all ends, I'm sure you'll be able to find something. So yeah, a very vague answer, I'm sorry. But yeah.
Also from Daryl, what was your first experience of cetaceans?
My first experience of cetaceans, to be honest, it was during my Orca placement. I hadn't been out and seeing a cetacean before. I remember, I think seeing my first one was amazing, but seeing and identifying my first one, I think that was more special to me because it showed that I'd picked up everything that I was trying to learn. But yeah, so that was August, September 2017. I'd never done anything like it before. I'm very much a home girl. And then, yeah, I just went out and did the placement. And so it was on that placement that was my first experience. I think it was a common dolphin, my first experience, and then the bottlenose dolphin was my first identified cetacean, which was pretty cool.
And Daisy, age 5, do dolphins sleep?
Yes, that's really, really good question, Daisy. So they do a thing called unihemispherical sleep, if you can say it, unihemispherical sleep. So this is where you sleep with one half of your brain active and one half of your brain inactive. So this is so they can have one eye open and sort of look out for danger, look out for anything that's going to happen. But they can also rest another side of their brain. So they'll just switch this throughout the day, making sure that they get enough rest as possible. And when they are doing this, they sort of log at the surface. So if you, and sperm whales are one that often do this. So you'll just see them doing this, like moving with the waves. They're not swimming, they're not breaching, they're just doing this logging. And that's often when one side of their brain is on and the other side is off. They're having a little relax. So yeah, really interesting question, but they do sleep, but not like us. So yeah, thank you.
And I think Daisy might be Louie's sister, because she said we saw 2 Rizzos.
Oh, amazing.
So that's the end of all of our questions. So thank you so much for everyone for listening, and thank you so much, Ashleigh. It was a great talk and just fantastic to hear about Orca and hear about all the different cetaceans that we can see around the UK. Perfect. So thank you very much, and we will all see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks a lot.